How does a dirty realist indie director known for winning Tribeca with hyper-authentic character dramas end up reviving the dead carcass of the R-rated 1980s summer camp comedy? I mean, on paper, it looks like a cynical exercise in millennial nostalgia. A paint-by-numbers underdogs-versus-snobs sports showdown, complete with the obligatory cameo from Steve Guttenberg. Yet beneath the familiar layer of crude, septic tank jokes lies a texture so aggressively specific, rugged, and culturally lived in that it actively subverts every trope Hollywood spent 40 years commercializing. Today, we're cracking open The Floaters to figure out how a movie engineered out of the most predictable narrative bones in cinema history managed to feel like the most refreshing genre pivot of the year. Nomi, a cynical rock musician mourning a brutal band breakup, reluctantly takes a desperate paycheck as a counselor at the rustic, financially ruined Jewish summer camp of her childhood. Instead of normal campers, she's saddled with The Floaters, a chaotic group of teenage misfits who refuse to fit into the system or participate in traditional camp activities. To save the camp from bankruptcy, Nomi must pivot from the apathetic supervisor to a genuine mentor, guiding the kids to find their voices through a wild, R-rated theatrical showcase to defeat a hyper-polished rival camp. So we do open with Nomi playing at a venue with her band, and her drummer is AEW star MJF. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, which is a surprise to me. I like wrestling. I watch wrestling. And it's always a treat to see him in here, especially a deeply Jewish movie. Although this is basically his only scene in the movie. So Nomi is forced to take a last resort paycheck from her overachieving childhood best friend, Mara, who to save Camp David from financial ruin. And I'm gonna get into this now that the movie does have familiar beats. It is rather predictable, but structural beats are formulas there for a reason. Because when they're executed with genuine heart, they work flawlessly. And with Floaters, I think they did a bang-up job with this, reviving the 80s summer camp movie. And then you have the actual floaters. They're like the cynical, apathetic teen outsiders who refuse to sign up for standard camp activities. And the script, it avoids turning them into just simple caricatures as they start to form bonds with each other as they put on this raunchy play from Sodom and Gomorrah. They get plenty of room to develop these as the movie goes on, and it's built naturally. And there is some friction, especially caused by Jonah, who's probably the main character of The Floaters and the chaotic internet-brained logic of the modern teenager. And it's kind of funny because I haven't seen a summer camp movie that wasn't like a horror movie too, kind of like Hell of a Summer, Marshmallow, Fear Street Part 2. And I love this, the back to basics comedy revival with this genre. You have a rustic counselor cabin that isn't just a delivery vehicle for a guy in a hockey mask. And I think it's kind of sweet. The Nomi taking over this group of outcasts. I mean, she's already crushed from her post-band breakup and adulthood failure, and the teenagers preemptively withdrawn from a camp social hierarchy. So like the first act, it builds tension not from the external stakes, but from the shared silent defense mechanism of ironclad cynicism. And of course, you have these 80s tropes for summer camps, like the corporate rival camp, the rich kids, but it's only like Seth Green in a golf cart driving by and talking shit most of the time. And the camp's literal infrastructure begins to collapse via a failing septic tank, of course. You got your poop jokes in there. But the screenplay weaponizes these hyper-familiar stakes to force Nomi out of her self-absorbed bubble into, like, active escalation. I mean, it's unapologetic that it's like an homage to, like, Meatballs or Ernest Goes to Camp. But it's also grounded by modern high-friction dialogue of these modern ultra-cynical teens. And then you have Camp David, and this is what gives the movie its own personality. It's a diverse, non-monolithic exploration of modern Jewish identity. You have Rabbi Rachel, played by Aya Cash, and it's her institutional presence and the kids' complete refusal to be put into a rigid religious box. And it's refreshing for a movie to decouple faith from like cultural identity so naturally, using the summer camp setting as like a chaotic sandbox instead of a Sunday school lesson. Even though it has heart, I think it has a ton of heart, it still has the raunch in it, and that's what I appreciate about it. It's got the gross out logistical nightmares of the failing summer camp, like the broken septic system, but then it's got these quiet, humanistic character moments. And the actress who played Nomi, Jackie Tohn, who I know from Glow mostly. Bring back Glow. It's her real-life upbringing at Camp Laconda in upstate New York that brings out the film's hyper-specific vibe. So this played at the Bentonville Film Festival to a raucous, crowd-pleasing premiere. And its organic word-of-mouth got it a theatrical acquisition. So it actually got a theatrical release instead of just being dumped on a streaming service on a Friday night. I have to point out like the hilarious economics of indie filmmaking here, okay? So prominently featured in the trailer is Steve Guttenberg, Jonathan Silverman, and Seth Green. And they're not in it very much because I think they probably filmed their stuff in a day or two. Especially Steve Guttenberg, like his scenes feel like they were aggressively crammed to like a 14-hour shoot the day before his flight left. I think it's kind of charming. I wasn't looking for this to star Steve Guttenberg, but I kind of like that they cast these notable like 90s and 80s icons in these roles. And of course, MJF. So like the themes of the floaters. I mean, it's like finding your tribe among the outsiders. The floaters reject organized activities because they refuse to fit into prepackaged boxes. It's mirroring Nomi's post-breakup adulthood crisis. The true confidence is found when they embrace their collective weirdness. Then there's the cultural identity versus institutional faith. You have Nomi's messy, authentic cultural expression through that play. Rachel Israel treats the Jewish summer camp setting not as a rigid set of theological rules, but as a diverse, complex cultural diaspora. And of course, the summer camp sandbox and reinvention. Jonah's escape from his father's college networking pressures to Nomi's confrontation with her teenage self. The camp functions as a psychological laboratory where characters can shed their hometown identities to move forward. And that's another trope for these movies. But ultimately, The Floater succeeds because it understands that formulas aren't inherently broken. They just require genuine blood, sweat, and dirt to function. By trading the high-gloss production design of modern studio comedies for naturalistic, lived-in texture, Rachel Israel breathes vibrant new life into the snobs versus slobs cinematic framework. It balances the crude R-rated camp logistics with a genuinely affecting look at cultural identity and the necessity of finding your own misfit tribe. It's a movie for anyone who grew up looking for their name on a cabin roster and felt completely out of place. So for its sharp wit and unwavering heart, The Floaters earns a very comfortable 3.5 out of 5. But what did you think of The Floaters? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and consider subscribing. If you want to support the channel a little further, hit that join button down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.